hazards of living with an overabundance of food, obesity, diabetes, we have started to change our diets. Yeah, this is a product of evolutionary mismatch. But most of us do not yet understand that news is to the mind what sugar is to the body. So yeah, I'm struck by the number of smart people who told me they can no longer concentrate on reading a book because their mind has been programmed from social media to just get things in bite-sized doses. And because I continue to enjoy reading books, this isn't my experience, but I'm surprised how many people tell me they can no longer read books. The news is easy to digest. I remember in my journalistic training, we were taught to present the news as if to an eighth grader, to a typical eighth grader. That's kind of the level that you're aiming at. So the news media feeds us small bites of trivial matter, true. Tidbits that don't really concern our lives and don't require thinking, generally true. And Ricardo says, I can't wait for the paragraph where right-wing news is more harmful than normal news. Well, you can know that there is no such paragraph in this essay. So the media feeds us small bites of trivial matter, tidbits that don't concern our lives and don't require thinking. That's why we experience no saturation. That's a good point. So you can eat carbs and not be full. But if you eat a steak, you'll feel full. If you eat meat, you'll feel full. If you eat food that's heavy in fat and protein, generally speaking, you'll feel full. So I think news, generally speaking, is like cheap carbs. And a book is like eating a steak. So unlike reading books and long magazine articles, which require thinking, we can swallow limitless quantities of news flashes, which are bright colored candies for the mind. I think there's something to that. Today, we have reached the same point in relation to information that we faced 20 years ago in regard to food. You're beginning to recognize how toxic news can be. If you eat properly cooked lentils, you will not be full. So I grew up on lentils. I think I can get full on lentils, but I do think being vegetarian sucks. I regret that I'm a vegetarian. I'm a self-hating vegetarian. News misleads. And so this is an example borrowed from Nicholas Nassim Taleb. A car drives over a bridge and the bridge collapses. But what does the news focus on? It focuses on the car and the person in the car, where he came from, where he planned to go, how he experienced the crash, if he survived. But that's not particularly important. What's relevant is the structural stability of the bridge. That's the underlying risk that has been lurking there and in other bridges. But the car falling off the bridge, that is flashy, that is dramatic. It's a person, so it's not abstract, and it's news, it's cheap to produce. So news leads us to walk around with this completely wrong risk map in our heads. Terrorism is overrated as a threat to your life. Chronic stress is probably underrated. The collapse of Lehman Brothers is overrated. Fiscal irresponsibility is underrated. Astronauts are overrated. Nurses are underrated.